Devils United for the first Nation League's preview. I've got Luca on with me today. Luca, how are you?
I'm good, man. And thank you very much for inviting me on the channel, man.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. I like having you on the channel. So we'll quickly say hi to people in the comments and then we'll get on to the teams, the players who's been called up as well. Good evening, Henry. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. And I just want to say again, thank you for the donation yesterday for the £5. It was really lovely of you to do that. Hey there, brother. Thank you as well for the lovely words. It means a lot, and you're a great mod on the channel, so thank you very, very much for that. Big up Luca from Rather. Hey there, Reese. Thank you for the nice words. And Luca is a sound lad. Yep, he is. Hey there to Niall. Yeah, so I know there was a question there in the chat regarding Arteta, but I'll just quickly say, out of subject, Angel Gomez was 16 when he made his debut in the Manchester United team. Age doesn't mean nothing. If you are going to be making a debut for your team, it's just about if the player is good enough. So let's go on to it. What team do you want to look at first in terms of the lineup? Are you wanting to look at Italy's first or England's first?
I don't mind which one. We'll go with England first.
Oh, so you're going to the winning teams first, are you, Luca?
Well, does that mean we have to go for 11 start 11s of Mason Mount?
If it was 11 Mason Mounts, I wouldn't
probably playing for England. He's not playing for the Portuguese under-21s.
He isn't even in the Portugal squad.
No, it's not good enough.
So here's the lineup. So we've got Dean Henderson back into the England squad after making a great debut for Nottingham Forest. Nick Pope is back after his terrific start with Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Aaron Ramsdale, of course, is one of your own goalkeepers for England. For you, in your opinion, which goalkeeper should be number one looking at that?
To be honest, right, I think it's quite difficult, mate. Between Ramsdale and Nick Pope, it's very difficult to say. For me, I'll go with Nick Pope because I think, look, don't get me wrong, I think Ramsdale's a great goalkeeper for us, but I don't think he's not number one at this moment of time. I just feel like he hasn't really featured a lot of England games. Jordan Stickman Pickford has been taken over the games. So for me, I think Nick Pope, what he's done, like making that move from Burnley to Newcastle, is a big step, especially with Newcastle with the takeover situation, the financial situation. Nick Pope is a big name now, and he's a big name for Newcastle. Newcastle doing all right. Yeah, last few games have not been that great, but Newcastle's still doing very well, and they're in sort of like a similar form. So for me, I'd go with Nick Pope as a number one goalkeeper, because when's the last time England had a good goalkeeper? Please tell me why. David Seaman. Paul Robinson was crap. Back pass against Croatia in 2007. So for me, you've got to go with Nick Pope.
For me, in my opinion, I'd go with the same, Nick Pope. I think if Jordan Pickford was if he was fully fit, he would be number one goalkeeper. And no matter what everybody says about Jordan Pickford, I think, yes, for Everton, he's a shocking goalkeeper, and I'll hold my hands up and think that. But in terms of England, him putting on an England shirt, I can't name any bad performances as an England player. He stepped up when he needed to step up. He was amazing in the Euros. He was great in the World Cup last time round. He's got the hunger. He's got the leadership. He's got the vocal, what you want in a goalkeeper. So for me, I know a lot of people are saying, well, he shouldn't be number one, but I personally think he's good enough to be number one just because of what he's done for England, and he hasn't had many. I can't think of a game off the top of my head where I say, Pickford shocking it. He shouldn't be England's number one ever again.
No, I don't think so. I think Jordan Pickford's not good enough, in my opinion. Yeah, he's a shot stopper, There's games where Pickford can have an unbelievable and turn into a prime Buffon. But what I'm saying is that he's not been good enough for Everton. People might say, oh, yeah, Pickford's good for England. Remember what he did in 2018 World Cup? England won their first penalty shootout since, I think it was 96 or something like 90-something it was, against Colombia, right? And England had to do it in the hard way. England got to a final in the European Championships and lost to Italy on penalties. Pickford saved a penalty in one of those
He did.
moments. So for me, Pickford, it's all jokes to the side that Pickford is done well and had good moments, but it doesn't matter about whether you're international. You could say about Harry Maguire is good enough for England, but he's crap for Manchester United. So therefore, it matters about the football club, right? And this is what people are forgetting, right? Like people could say, yeah, Pickford has done very well for great things for England, but for the club, it matters about the club because Everton are dog shite, in my opinion. And yes, Pickford's done well in the last couple of games, but for me, it's not about that. So for me, Nick Pope goes in it, 100%.
Yeah, Nick Pope out of them definitely should be number one. I don't think Dean Henderson should have been called up. I personally, minus his couple of penalties, a penalty or two he saved, what's he done?
He hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything whatsoever. Sam Johnson, he's one who could have been called up ahead of him.
100%, because I look at it like Maisy. I feel like England should go for someone like Nick Pope. You've got to give someone a chance. Yeah, okay, he's not made very good a lot of caps, but Pickford's got experience, right? You think about other goalkeepers. Manuel Neuer still plays for Germany, right? When Bernd Leno was at Arsenal, and now he's at Fulham, Leno had to leave Arsenal because he wanted to get into the World Cup, right? So for me, Leno, of course, made the right choice moving to Arsenal and Fulham. Yeah, it's a downgrade, but he wanted first team football. So therefore, with Jordan Pickford may have a lot of experience for England, that's why other goalkeepers are challenging him and he feels under pressure now. So this is the thing, like you've got Ramsdale, you've got Nick Pope, you've got Dean Henderson, right? People talk about Dean Henderson, one of the best backups in the Premier League. For me, I don't think he isn't one of the best backups in the Premier League. I thought he was. Don't get me wrong. People could say that, yeah. Do you think Dean Henderson is one of the best backups in the Premier League? Or do you just, he had so much potential. For me, I don't think he isn't because I thought he was. I thought it was because of Nottingham Forest's defence isn't that great.
I agree. I completely agree. I look at Dean Henderson and think there was a lot of times where he should have been, he should have saved it. And his attitude problem is atrocious. So it's like you're rewarding bad behaviour. But let's go through some of the comments anyway. Yeah. Tom's gone for a 2-1 for England. We'll do score predictions at the end, Tom. Who do you see starting from the Italians against the Italians, from Henry? I'm gonna go for a 3-4-3 just because I don't like 5 at the back. I don't like the 4-2-3-1. Don't like any kind of formation. So gonna go for Pope. I'm gonna go for Walker, Maguire, Tomori. And then I'll go for Declan Rice, Bellingham, Mount. Up front, I'm going to go for Saka, Kane, Sterling. What about you?
What, for England? For me, I'll go with Pope in goal. Defence, I'll go with centre-halves. I'll go with Tomori, John Stones, Carl Walker.
Oh, crap, I did do it right. I said 3-4-3 and I did 3-3-3. For the wing backs, I'm gonna go for Reece James and I'm gonna go for Trippier. I'd rather play Trippier out of position than play Luke Shaw.
For me, I'll go with forward at the back, right? So I can't keep up with England's formations with Gareth Southgate in there. So I'll go with forward at the back. John Stones, Tomori, Reece James. Left back, I'll go for Kieran Trippier. In midfield, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice. In the number 10, Mason Mount. Forwards, you've got the 3. I'll go with Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane, and Phil Foden.
Yeah, sounds good. Reece may as well go to the home side since Euro champs can wait. Okay. If England start Trent overrated Arnold, they'll lose.
Makes a good point, mate. You make a very good point because Trent Alexander-Arnold can't defend jack shit. So he can't defend. Honestly, you see this season. I don't care what Liverpool fans think, right? Thinking that he's all that. He's good going forward. Don't get me wrong.
He's probably one of the best in as right backs in terms of going forward. It's just, I think when you have got 2 brilliant centre backs next to him, he's great. But when the centre backs are going out of position, that's where you see Trent Alexander-Arnold truly exploited.
Yeah. Yeah, Doug, you make a very good point. I don't want England having Jordan Henderson in the team. Forget that. The guy needs to go back to Sunderland, mate.
Ravi, question: Does England stop getting caught out in central areas? We definitely have not been caught out in central areas. There's numerous times during the Euros we didn't, so we can do it. It's just about if the team works together. Reese's lineup's gone for Pope, Walker, Tamari, Stones, James, Bellingham, Rice, Chilwell, Foden, Kane, Sterling. Good evening, Doug. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming into the chat. Good to see you. Reese said Tamari is England's by far best centre back, and it's not even close. Jordan Henderson got called up because Forest had 23 signings and needed recommendations. I said Lino is the best player for Germany. Rabbit, how does England stop Italians' attack? Go 10 at the back. Harry's gone for Pope in goal. Back forward, Trent, Chilwell, Maguire, Tamara. Midfield, Mount, Rice, James Ward-Prowse, Bellingham, Abraham, Sterling, Saka. That's interesting. Niall, why not Ramsdale in goal? He's better than Pope. Ramsdale conceded 4 goals during the Nations League. He's shown he ain't good enough for England right now. Good, maybe number 2 and number 3, but he's still only very young. He needs experience. Nick Pope has got experience. He's a very great goalkeeper. He's a goalkeeper that's got a bit of everything. And I think when Ramsdale's under pressure, you can see that in Aaron Ramsdale, whereas Nick Pope, you don't see him crumble under pressure. What were you going to go for? What do your opinion on that, Luca, about Niall's question?
No. Look, at the end of the day, I respect your opinion, right? But for me, yes, I think Ramsdale's a great goalkeeper for Arsenal. Don't get me wrong. And for me, this is not about talking about Arsenal, but England. I don't think he has what Maisy said is absolutely 100% because he hasn't got that kind of experience at what Jordan Pickford had, right? So I don't think Ramsdale, if Gareth Southgate goes with Ramsdale as number 1 goalkeeper in the World Cup, then it's panic stages. It really is. So for me, you've got to go with Nick Pope. Don't get me wrong. I think Ramsdale's brilliant, but I feel Pope has to be.
I think playing at club level, no disrespect to Arsenal, who hasn't been in European competitions, who hasn't really competed to the likes of Nick Pope, who was saved from Burnley from relegations. There was a time where Burnley was actually in the Europa League, so he's got he's got tournament experience because he made it through. I'm sure he made it through to the last Nations League and the World Cup, so he has got the experience and all that, which Aaron Ramsdale don't have.
Nope. So Ramsdale does not have the experience for that, and this is the thing, right? With Nick Pope, he's played in the Europa League. Burnley have played. I think they played Motherwell in the Europa League. I don't know. I don't know who they played. They played someone in the Europa League and got knocked out. So, but yeah.
Henry thinks Henderson will be on the bench.
He will.
Good evening, Beyond the Horizon. Thank you for coming into the chat. I
Big up
hope
to
you are
mate.
well.
Big up to you, mate.
Hello there to my dad. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Doug said he don't want to see Jordan Henderson near the England team. I know you already touched on that, Luca. Ravi, will this England side be a lot quicker when they play? I'm not too sure at the moment. Based off who we do have, we should at least be getting a draw, but it just all depends on what England really turns up. Doug has fancied Italy to win in this game 3-1. Doug, you broke my heart here. I'm only messing. Reese thinks that dull edge 1-0. Rabbit, Ivan Tony, good or bad for England? Definitely good. Someone who's never missed a penalty, who's in red hot form, he's getting his hat tricks. I actually think he's been on better form than Harry Kane. And right now, out of everybody, all the strikers who's English, who's playing, he's the closest person who can compete with Harry Kane. Because no one has had that. Go on, Luke. Luke, what was you going to say?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think Ivan Toney's been fantastic. Yeah, he didn't kick a ball on the weekend. What Gabriel said on Twitter on the weekend. So for me, Ivan Toney is doing very well, and he deserves to be in the England squad. I mentioned this on my channel on my international predictions on Sunday night. I said, look, Ivan Toney has done very well. He's come from League One, playing for Barnsley, Peterborough, hanging goals in. I remember him at Peterborough. I've seen him live for Peterborough, and Ivan Toney is a goal scorer. He killed it in the Championship. He's too good for that league, and for me in the Premier League, he's scoring goals. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ivan Toney gets 15 goals this season. Honestly, I would not be surprised. No, honestly, I don't think he'll get 20. But you never know. You never know.
Put a bet on it, Luke, or you might get some money for it.
Might do, man. I might treat it. I might treat it to him.
Southie on borrowed time this season. I think if we do bad in the World Cup, I think he'll be gone. I think if he don't get quarterfinals minimum, he's gone. I really do believe so. But let's go into the defence. Defence, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ben Chilwell, Conor Coder, Eric Dyer, Mark Gucci, Reece James, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Tamara, Trippier, Kyle Walker. So, looking at this, there is a few people who I'll look and go, why have you been called up? One for me who I think shouldn't have been called up is going to be controversial, but I don't think Kyle Walker should have been called up. He's not played enough games for Manchester City. As I always say, it should be down to merit. Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire should be nowhere near this England squad. None of them deserve it, and I'm not even going to go into the pair of them just because I'll probably pull my hair out by the end of it.
Eric Dyer should not be in the England squad.
I actually think Eric Dyer deserves it. I think he's played well.
Is it because he's a Sporting Lisbon reject?
He's not a Sporting Lisbon reject. Sporting Lisbon was sad to get rid of Eric Dyer, but Tottenham came knocking, and it's just one of them kind of things. But I think Eric Dyer's played very well this season, and I think he's shown that he should be back in that lineup. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, at the end of the day, he's not played good enough either for me. The only ones for me who I'll look and go should have been called up is Conor Coder. Oh, good evening, just me. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. I think Conor Coder. I wouldn't even say Reece James has not been good enough. Conor Coder, Tamara, Trippier should have been the only three out of them lot who should have been called up.
Yeah, I do think so, because Conor Coder.
And Eric Dyer. Them's the four who should have been called up.
Me, a lot of people think that Eric Dyer has done very well. Look, he has. But do you think he's doing well just because Conte's the manager? Right?
I think what helps him is the fact that compared to last season, the defence has strengthened, the wing backs have strengthened. They've got a solid back three, which I think has really helped him massively. And I think the formation highly benefits Eric Dyer a lot better. I don't personally think, in my opinion, 4 at the back suits Eric Dyer. I think having the 2 centre-backs next to him, it's a lot more beneficial because he's in a kind of respect, in terms of his pace, he's a bit like Harry Maguire. He's a bit of slow-paced, but he's he's a lot more versatile. He can play as a defensive midfielder. He's strong. What I quite like about Eric Dyer, and I think the three at the back is quite beneficial. So I think based off how Southgate plays with his a 10 at the back, I think it works.
100%. I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm. For you, out of them, Luca, is there anyone who should have not been called up for you?
Look, I look at it right, and I think Trent Alexander-Arnold shouldn't have been called up.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's not shit. I just think like he's not been on particularly good form at the moment. So that's why I think England should call players who are currently on good form. So I read a rumour today that Trent Alexander-Arnold might not be called up to the World Cup the way he's performing at the moment. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get called up. So Trent shouldn't have gone in this one. I think Kyle Walker shouldn't have gone. Hasn't played a lot of Manchester City games. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he hasn't featured a lot of games. Luke Shaw shouldn't have been. Harry Maguire shouldn't have been. But why is it that England don't call up Jadon Sancho?
That's a good point, because I know that was asked in the chat, and Jadon Sancho, for me, he should have been called up, because I know we'll touch on the forwards a bit later on. He scored more goals than a lot of them wingers who had come through to the Nations League. Yes, I agree. He was poor last season in terms of his form, and he should have been rightfully dropped. But he shouldn't be dropped now, because he's really picked up. He's probably one of the better wingers who we've got. Yeah. I know this is going to be controversial as well, but if Southgate doesn't want to bring Sancho, more beneficial to Manchester United, because we can save him, we can rest him. We can't afford to lose Jadon Sancho right now.
Well, no, of course not, because I think Jadon Sancho has been fantastic for Manchester United. Right, I think this season Ten Hag has got the best out of the best Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund days. I do think so, because I think he's been absolutely fantastic, right, for Manchester United, and that's what is it with Gareth Southgate does not call players like Jadon Sancho. Marcus Rashford, for me, right? Yeah, okay, he's been injured in that. Don't get me wrong. But do you honestly think he deserves a call up as well?
He's injured.
Yeah. So
I think he would have been called up, but it's the fact that Rashford's injured. So, oh well. Yeah, let's get to the comments as well very quickly. How many players do you think shouldn't have been picked from my dad? Looking at that squad, Henderson shouldn't have been picked. Trent, Chilwell, Mark, Reece James, Maguire, Shaw, Stones, Kyle Walker, Calvin Phillips, Bowen, Grealish. Yeah, 12 people should
when you say that, right? Do you think Mason Mount deserves an England call up?
I think Mason Mount, 13. He don't deserve it.
I don't think he doesn't deserve a call up, because I don't think he's not been that great for Chelsea this season. But with Chelsea got a new manager now, how is Graham Potter going to get the best out of Mason Mount? He might be good enough for Manchester United in the next couple of years, depending if your manager Ten Hag's going to be here in the next 2 years.
Exactly. I do agree. I do agree with this point here that players should be picked on form and not based off regular starters. I think if it did come to a tournament, we do need a couple of experienced players. We can't just keep bringing on new players. But these kind of games, like the Nations League and these international friendlies, are to show players who's never come through to England say, right, I am good enough to be playing here for England. But you look at, I've named 13 players who should have been called up, and it's not. It's always going to be the same.
100%. I do 100% agree, because, look, I get it, because it's a friendly, it's a Nations League, right? You're going to call like the experience. Look, the problem with Gareth Southgate is he likes calling up his favourite wannabes, his favourite players. Jordan Henderson, made his debut, I think it was 2014 World Cup, right? Harry Kane's understandable. He's been there for England. So England have got a couple of players that have played for 7, 8 years, right? And you've got all these new players coming in and youngsters and who deserve to be in the call-up. For me, depending when Gareth Southgate names his 23-man squad for the World Cup, he's got to get that World Cup squad right, okay? For me, I don't want to see Jordan Henderson and any of them not called up that are not being good enough for club level. If Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't perform, you've got to take him out. That's why players like Tomori, who I rate, who is good,
like Tomori,
deserves to be in the England squad. Tomori is a baller.
And one Ben Chilwell, how many minutes has he actually played?
That's another thing.
He's been injured for a long time. I understand he had a long-term injury, and they're gonna ease him in, but he doesn't deserve the call up either. He's like, probably Harry Maguire's had more minutes than Ben Chilwell.
Harry Maguire's going to get an England call up
regardless.
And Ben Chilwell, for me, don't get me wrong, I like Ben Chilwell, right? I think when he was at Leicester, he was quality. Don't get me wrong, and he would have been, if we didn't get Kieran Tierney, and he would have been my first choice, who I would have got. So Ben Chilwell, I know at this moment of time, I still think Ben Chilwell can be a good player. But at this moment of time, you're right. I don't think he doesn't deserve a call-up because of the injuries he's had. I think he needs to step away a bit, start producing consistently, get in that team, because Cucurella is taking over Ben Chilwell's spot. And he's done well for Chelsea this season. So Ben Chilwell, for me, needs to get a few more minutes under his belt, start being the Ben Chilwell what he was at Leicester, then you get in the England squad. And then you start thinking, like, you know what, we've got a decent left back here.
Yeah, completely agree. Ducker said Grealish, Bowen, Mount, Trent, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw shouldn't have been called up, and Henderson, both the Hendersons too. Henderson bros shouldn't have been from the rival clubs. Risa said Donnarumma, Di Lorenzo, Bonucci, Bastoni, Emerson, Tonali, Verratti, Barella, Pontello, Scacamo, Rasabaro, 4-3-3 my lineup. We'll touch on Italy soon. Don't you worry about that. Mason Mount is a lover of Gareth Southgate's. I agree with that. Good evening there to Andrew. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming in, and just want to say again, thank you for the super chat yesterday. It really means a lot. And I really appreciate all your support that you've been giving. Ravi, do players really enjoy and want to play for England? I think some definitely do, but some probably think I'm going to get called up regardless, in my opinion. Let's go to the midfield. There isn't many midfielders anyway. Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, but that's replaced by Jordan Henderson now. Declan Rice, James Ward-Prowse. I'm looking at that. I think, right, James Ward-Prowse, man, maybe this is going to sound bad, but mine is his free kicks, his set pieces, his corners. What does he really have to offer? That's what Trippier can do. Mason Mount has not even registered a goal or assist. He isn't good enough to play in that team, and I don't think he suits Gareth Southgate. Poor Mr. Calvin, who's injured. Declan Rice, even though he hasn't been on good form, we've got no other option. And Jude Bellingham deserves it.
100%, because I think Jude Bellingham is a baller. Don't get me wrong, I think he's world class. And for me, look, James Ward-Prowse, I liked James Ward-Prowse. I think I'll take him at Arsenal right now in a heartbeat, right? I know Arsenal have improved on their own set pieces and that. That's why Gabriel and Saliba have scored goals from corners this season. And that's something what Arteta's learned. But for me, James Ward-Prowse is a good player. I like James Ward-Prowse. He would be a player who I would take at Arsenal right now in January. He would be a midfielder what I think we should get. Someone who can create the ball, someone who can score free kicks, specialist. Imagine that. Him in the midfield with Gabriel Jesus with the ball. That's class. That get you top four. That will get you Champions League football. And for me, I don't know what it is about clubs that don't go for James Ward-Prowse. Is it because he's not really being featured in the England squad? Or is it just because people like Nah, he's played in the
I
Premier
just
League.
think, like, without taking away his qualities, his overall kind of play, there's nothing what stands out to me as a midfielder.
100%, because I look at it, Mason, and I think, look, you take the qualities out of James Ward-Prowse, people are going to say, like, oh, what does he offer? Nothing. For me, he doesn't need to offer anything. He's there to create and score set pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter whether he can, like, okay, I want James Ward-Prowse to score 10 goals. He might get you goals, but he ain't going to get you 10 goals. It doesn't matter. James Ward-Prowse is a midfielder that can do everything in the midfield on his day.
Mm-hmm. Just to ask before we do move on, have you heard Calvin Phillips' nickname?
No, Yorkshire Pirlo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
No way. No, there's no way. He's not Yorkshire Pirlo. No chance.
Why not?
No chance. Because I'll tell you the reason why. Not for me. Because look, I think Calvin Phillips is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's better than Granit Xhaka, but I think Calvin Phillips is nowhere near Pirlo's quality. What Pirlo was.
No, Calvin Phillips is better.
Unbelievable.
I'm kidding.
Pirlo, right, was unbelievable back in his day, yeah? Right? And I know Pirlo than anyone else. So for me, Calvin Phillips is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I'd have him at Arsenal in a heartbeat. But the trouble is, he's injury prone.
He is injury prone. He's very injury prone. Good evening, Vincent. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Score prediction from just me. We will do it at the end, but I'll go for a 1-1. What are you going to go for, Luca?
I'll save mine at the end.
Save yours for the end, okay. Andrew said, Mason's struggling at the moment. Will come good. I agree. Jude is the next captain. Ooh, that's an interesting shout. Jude's still only 19. Talks like a 30-year-old, so mature. He's brilliant. He really is brilliant. Jude Bellingham. I would happily take Jude Bellingham. And
Jude Bellingham will get you a title.
Yeah. Stop disrespecting Yorkshire Pirlo, please.
Reece Gravison, was that the one he played for Real Madrid or Everton?
He's probably disrespecting. He's disrespecting the Yorkshire Pirlo anyway. Yeah, strikers anyway. Oh, Tammy Abraham, Jared Bowen, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, Ivan Toney. In your opinion, do you think Saka should have been called up?
It's quite difficult to say. Yeah, probably just about, because I think Saka on his day can still produce good performances. Yeah, I know he's not been on great form at the moment, but I don't know. It's hard to say with me on this one, Macy, because at the same time, I do think probably, yes, he does deserve an England call-up because he doesn't get a lot of games. Yeah, I know at Arsenal he's not been the best, but I still think there's a player in there when he's on it. So at the same time, maybe it was a good idea to maybe have Saka not called up, because you don't want to get him injured, especially the games that we've got coming up next after the international break. So, no, I do think Southgate should have called Saka up because he deserves a chance, and he's probably not even going to start ahead of Raheem Sterling. So,
I think what will happen is, if we play 3-4-3, I think Sterling will play on the left, and I actually think Saka might actually start, to be honest. But one for me, Jared Bowen, I don't think, as much as Jared Bowen played well last season, I don't think he deserved the call up this time round. He just simply hasn't been good enough for West Ham.
I don't think he's not all that. I don't think he's not all that, Bowen. I really don't think so. Yeah, he's a one-season wonder for West Ham. Until he starts producing from now into the end of the season, then I won't be saying he's a one-season wonder. Don't get me wrong, he's a decent player, but the value what West Ham offered, we were linked with him in the summer, right? And they wanted about 70, 75 million. Why would you go out and pay that sort of money for a player like that?
And you know what? Maybe this is going to be controversial, but based off England form, Sterling is actually the best forward player we have. I think he plays absolutely brilliant for England.
But the thing is, Sterling, when he was at Manchester City, this is a question to ask for the audience, right? Sterling, right? When people would criticise him a few years ago, before he was at Man City, before he started getting into Man City, people were saying, "Oh, Sterling misses sitters for England. Sterling does this," but Sterling's improved now. Yeah, Chelsea fans start criticising him, thinking, "Oh, Sterling's not performing right," but he's still a good player for England. Sterling's still performance produced, got experience, right? He played in the 2014 World Cup, so Sterling has always been good for Manchester City. Yeah, okay, Sterling might have lost a bit of yard pace, but Sterling, I still think he's quite good for England. He still offers something, right? Remember his performance against Germany.
Yeah, he was terrific. I actually think Sterling was our best player for the Euros.
Yeah, I do think so. Yeah.
Before we go finish off the England squad, we've got a debut there of Ivan Toney. Do you think we could potentially see him?
I think he'll make an appearance.
Yeah.
I do think he will. I think he'll get about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, do you think he will do well in this England team?
It's hard to debate. I think it's going to take time for him because are you really going to get ahead of Harry Kane? Of course not. Okay, Harry Kane's a world-class player, and Ivan Toney, it's going to take time for him to get it because there was opportunities where he wanted to play for England. Even he admitted it in his press conference when he was at Newcastle, he wasn't good enough. And then he went out on loan, he went to Peterborough, started banging goals in left, right, centre. And then, look, I think Toney can become good, but I think it's going to take time for the internet. It's a big step up for him, and all the best for Ivan Toney, because I think I'd take him at Arsenal in a heartbeat. So,
and he's linked to United.
He is.
He is linked to United. I'd happily have him at Man United as well, to be honest. I really would.
He's better than Marcus Rashford. So
not that hard, is it? It's not hard. Even though he has played well. Saka is a versatile option. He plays a wing back as well, can't he, if I'm not mistaken?
Saka has played at wing back before.
Yeah,
I
thought so. Yeah. There was a question from Ravi. I can't even see where it went.
Ravi, big up.
I actually can't find Ravi's question. Oh yeah, there you go. Question: can England link well together in this? Link up well together in this game? I think for me, it all depends on how much space Italy gives England. But the way Italy play, there could be potentially some cheap balls what could go.
Possibly.
But, yeah.
Because I look at it, it all depends how the game's going to turn out, right? Because England have got to go to Italy's ground, right? And for me, England are going to go there to win, right? Mathematically, England could still win this Nations League, right? Because in the last few games, they didn't really give a care about this game, right? They couldn't care about the game because it was a Nations League. But for me, that's not the mentality, right, for the players. The players have really got to be like, it doesn't matter what competition it is, you want your country to do proud. Yeah, okay, the fans might be like, oh, it's only Nations League, blah, 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 blah. But for the players and standards, right, you're professional football players, you've got to care and be like, okay, you treat it, get momentum going into the next tournament or World Cup qualifier or European qualifiers. So for me, go for this game for England, it just depends how they're going to turn out because to win, they could still qualify. They'd have to win all their games and hope one of the teams, I think Germany, got to beat Hungary or something like that. So,
yeah, I completely agree with that, 100% with you. So, and Andrew's right, we do have a lot of players out of form, but yeah, England squad, quite a controversial one. But we'll go on to Luca's favourite team, the Italians. I know Luca was absolutely dying to talk about him. So let's get that up. The squad doesn't seem as big. I'm not too sure which each mean. I'm guessing goalkeeper, then defence at the bottom, and it goes like that. Based off what I'm trying to see. So,
can you pronounce those names?
What?
Can you pronounce all those names?
What, any of them names? Yeah. Donnarumma.
That's good then. I thought I was going to text you to do all of them.
Don't test me to do all of them. Yeah, so let's do it. We'll go with the goalkeepers first. Donnarumma, Meret, Paul Vidal, and Vicario. Donnarumma's an obvious first choice, but what are you thinking of the goalkeepers being picked for you, Luca?
To be honest, for the Azzurri for Italy, right, I think Donnarumma is obviously like the right choice, right, because Buffon is retired. So Buffon is retired. He retired 4 years ago, so it is understandable. Merit is good choice backup, but the other two goalkeepers I've never heard of. Sirigu, of course, is now retired for international duty, so he didn't really feature as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of them, both Merit and Donnarumma play at high level football.
Merit's
He plays for Napoli. I nearly said Napoli. I was thinking Napoli when I was saying that.
Reese is going to clip that.
Don't clip it. Yeah, Napoli he plays for, and he did used to play as a rotational basis, but Donnarumma, he's been playing a bit more games for PSG as well, but we did see last season PSG wasn't in his best form.
No, he wasn't really producing that well for PSG, but for the Euros, he was unbelievable. And he's a very good penalty shot stopper in the penalty shootouts. I've seen it before. And for me, Donnarumma has done very well. And yeah, last season, he didn't really do well for his standards, but yeah, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Niall did say about in the chat about Locatelli is that link to Arsenal, but isn't he at Juventus? I can't see it.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that when we get to midfield, but I will say Locatelli is a player I would 100% take. We were linked with him in the Euros, and he was a midfielder who I wanted to get.
The thing is, I just can't see
anytime soon.
He's only gone to Juventus. Like, was it in the summer last year?
Yeah.
So he's gonna cost it a lot. No, is he still at you? Is he still at Juventus? He isn't, is he? He only went on loan, or has he gone for the season? How was he on loan for?
Everybody in the chat, ask Maisy. Reese,
I don't know.
Do research.
I don't know, but he is a good player, but it's just about how much it would cost.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Defense. Akabara, Bastona, Bonucci, Di Lorenzo, Di Marco, Emerson, Gacci, Luis Felipe, Masakuri, Tonala. There's some obvious names out there, of course, of Bonucci, Lorenzo, Emerson. What are you thinking of that defense, Luca?
Look, I think it's Mancini wants to build a young generation. Don't get me wrong, and yes, it is disappointing that we've lost someone like a Chiellini, but time does go on, and these players can't play forever. And for me, it is a bit we have lost that kind of character. But Bonucci still has that kind of character. Bastoni is a defender who's very high rated at Inter Milan. And I think he's a very good defender. Tottenham were linked with him before in the transfer market, so him and Bonucci could have a very good partnership. De Lorenzo is a very good right back. I think clubs should be looking at him right now. So I think he's a top left back. The left back position, we're missing Spinazzola, top defender, right? I know a lot of people don't know much about him, but if you guys want to ask me about information about him, I'm the right choice here. So
let's be honest. All you have to do is watch him from the Euros, and then you'll be able to see how well he is as a left back. Also, could play as a left wing back. I personally think
was fantastic. He was fantastic in the European Championships, and he's a defender.
I think he's one of the best in the world in terms of wing backs.
Yeah, he's class. He's class. And for me, Emerson, I don't rate Emerson. Right, I think the guy can't defend. So. I don't think Emerson is not all that, and he wasn't good enough for Chelsea. So Spinazzola is something where Italy missing. The problem with Italy is that Italy don't have a proper decent backup left back. So
From what I'm just reading here about Spiniola's call-up, and apparently he declined the invitation for the Italy call-up because he said that he's had an average start to the new season, so he wants to work upon that rather than play for Italy. And I look at that and I think, for me, that's great mentality. You want to have a player who wants to work at club level, wants to improve upon that, and it shows that what we have said, internationals is an award.
It is, and I get that. Look, I understand where he wants to put his club first, and I totally respect that. But I think you saw it in the European Championships, like you saw Spinazzola and Chiesa. They're the two big players, hence why Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup, and that's another World Cup Italy have missed. So they're two very important players that actually won the European Championship last year. So it is a massive blow. Chiesa has been out for a very, very, very long time, and we don't know if he's going to be the same player what he produced in the European Championship. So I don't know when Chiesa is back. I couldn't tell you. So I think Spinazzola. Look, I understand his mentality, but you need that kind of look. It's a Nations League. I understand Roberto Mancini not calling Spinazzola. If Italy would have qualified for the World Cup this year, you would need someone like a Spinazzola in there to get a bit of momentum going into the tournament.
Here's a controversial one though, based off Bonucci. Like, I know he's one of them where he's doing so well in terms of his country. He's a key player. He's a leader. But based off the form of Juventus, do you think he should have been called up?
I do think Bonucci should be called up because I think look, I understand. I don't watch much Italian football. I only watch the national team, and for me, Bonucci, look, he's got that character, he's got that experience, right? And when Chiellini retired this summer or last season, whenever it was, them two had a great partnership. They were like brothers, right? And Bonucci and Chiellini had a very good combination together. They had so much leaders at the back. Them two never wanted to come to the Premier League, so Bonucci's there. He's about 35, 36. I think Bonucci's probably got maybe one more Euros in him, and then he'll probably retire. Won't make it for the next World Cup. So in 2026. So I think Bonucci's got maybe another. If Italy qualify for the Euros in 2 years' time, I think he'll play for Italy. And then the worrying thing is, if he goes, who's going to be the next centre back alongside Bastoni? Who's going to be the next centre back alongside him?
That's a good question. Before we do go to the comments, I was gonna say about a player who I think was great to see a call up, which was Di Lorenzo. Di Lorenzo currently is playing extremely good football. He's helping Napoli in terms of winning his games. I think he was absolutely superb. When I watched him when I watched him in the Champions League, when I've watched a game for Serie A, so I think he's a terrific right back, and I think his kind of levels, especially knowing he's in his prime right now, is what Italy needs.
Look, I think Di Lorenzo is a top defender, man, and I think people should go for someone like that. I think people need to go for someone like that because I think he's quality. I think he's absolutely quality. I've always rated the guy. When I remember the game, I think it was Turkey in the first group stage of the Euros. He came on as a substitution and he changed the game and he bossed that game. And he was quality. He was absolutely phenomenal. And he's winning titles for Napoli. Like, of course, AC Milan won the league last year and he wants to win titles for Napoli. I think he's quality. Reese, I get your comment. You are right. Regani is finished. He was linked with Arsenal in a couple of times in the transfer market. He's not good. He's like Mustafi, so he isn't that great.
Reese said Emerson is poorly for attacking, but he's played very well for Lyon. Spinazzola, excellent, but not 100% fit. I just think we have been pinning our hopes on our men to bring a trophy home since '66, and it hasn't happened. I think it's time to focus on more of the women's team. Yeah, we will definitely be doing a women's preview for England versus America, because that is the World Cup champions versus the Euro 2022 champions. So that's going to be an exciting game. Spinazzola is a big loss, agreed. Will the captain be dropped? Just look at Harry Maguire, he's dropped for club. And I think if a manager does have bottle, Roberto Mancini, I think he's a great manager for Italy, but I think he is a manager who could drop a player if needed. Liam's in the chat. Good evening, Liam. I hope you're well. I'm still shocked Italy haven't qualified for the World Cup. Their team's too talented not to be in it. I agree. Italy was a surprise one, and knowing that they wasn't in the World Cup last time round, a lot of people seen Italy as a bit of a dark horse is coming into the Euros. But I think when they're in tournaments, they're a team that you can rule out. What do you think of Italy not being in the Euros, Luca? Because I was surprised.
I've touched on this before, and I think, look, if Roberto Mancini doesn't get Italy to the European Championships, like for me, I called it out. I think Reece. I remember touching this with Reece once when Italy didn't qualify. I think this was on Rich's channel, and I think Reece was in the stream, and I called out Mancini when Italy didn't qualify and beat Macedonia. I was like, there were serious questions. I do think he should have called, and I know a lot of people are going to really disagree with me on this and start laughing in the chat, but I do think Mario Balotelli should have been called up to the Italy squad. And this is what people are forgetting, right? Think about what Mario Balotelli did, right, in the past for Italy. Yeah, okay, his career's all gone toots. It's not been that great. But Mario Balotelli, right, think about the experience what he did 10 years ago. He got Italy to the finals and lost to Spain, right? Mario Balotelli has got experience, right? Immobile is a good striker for Lazio, but he's crap for the international team, right? Belotti is not good enough, right? Italy, right? Yeah, Italy's best strikers right now, right, is Raspadoni, right, and potentially maybe Scamacca. Okay, Scamacca may have not hit the ground running for West Ham, but that's why he's been scoring in the Europa League, but not in the Prem. But I do think Italy should have called someone like Mario Balotelli because he's got experience in there. It's probably a bit too late now to call him up, but at the right time before, he should have been called up because you've got that experience. He's got that character. Yeah, okay, him and Mancini don't get on. Yes, Balotelli was only the Italian person to win the Premier League. But for me, he is a player where I do think Italy should have called up. And I know a lot of people don't get it, what I'm saying. But this is what people are not remembering, right? Is that he's a winner. He's got experience, right? And you need experience in your team. Yeah, okay, Chiellini's gone now. Don't get me wrong. Buffon's gone now, right? But you still got Bonucci in there, right? You've still got Donnarumma. You've still got the likes of Jorginho, Verratti. You've got Nico Barella. All these players coming through the ranks, right? But I do think Mario Balotelli is a player where I do think Mancini should have called up because, yeah, okay, he's gone to like some foreign league, right? But I do think he would, if Balotelli would have been called up, I think Italy would have been in the World Cup.
That's an interesting choice, to be honest, Luca. I never really thought about it. Ravi, is the Italy in midfield? Italy hard to cut through. We'll touch on their midfield in just a moment, anyway. Good evening, Mike. Thank you for coming into the chat. I hope that you are well. So let's go on to the midfield because there is some names there of who I have seen from Roma. Because you know me, I don't mind a bit of Roma.
Well, he's got Roma now. Maybe you should start doing Roma watch-alongs.
I don't. Roma watch-along. So, I don't think I could cope with any more Jose Mourinho, to be honest. But, yeah, midfielders: Barella, Cristante, Jorginho, Pellegrini, Paulito, Tonali, Verratti. Some excellent midfielders there. Just to double check, Pellegrini, is that the Roma?
That's the Roma one. That's the Roma one. He's a quality player.
I actually this is actually going to be so controversial, but I actually think Pellegrini is one of the best attacking midfielders in the Italian league. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I think he's fantastic.
And I think he deserves a lot better than Roma. I really do. He could be in like the Inter Milan team. He could be in that
Is he good
Juventus
enough for
team.
the Premier League though?
I think he could get in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I think he could. And another one there, Cristante, who is another Roma player.
Yeah.
Verratti, PSG player. Verratti's brilliant. Another terrific midfielder, one of the best in Ligue 1. George, this is gonna be as well very controversial, but I genuinely don't think Jorginho deserves that place.
I agree, because I'll tell you why. Jorginho, one of the reasons Jorginho cost us the World Cup. Not honestly,
you think so?
Yeah, of course he is. He's shit. And I used to be a massive fan of Jorginho. I used to like the guy. He's shit. Okay, he's not good enough, because Jorginho's been crap for Chelsea. Like Andrew just said in the comment I've just seen, he has been crap for 6 months or so. Yeah, he makes a very good point, because Jorginho's been rubbish. Okay, he's not good enough anymore. Right? He's overrated. He's not good. And for me, I used to like Jorginho. Right? But he misses the odd penalties, in my opinion. And during the qualifiers, when Italy missed a penalty against, I think it was Switzerland, he was bad. And for me, he doesn't deserve a call-up. So I think Nico Barella's a baller. He's a baller. Liverpool are looking at him as well. So Jorginho doesn't deserve the Italy call-up.
You know what, right? This is the thing. I've said this. Everyone calls Bruno Fernandes a penalty merchant.
Penchester, yeah.
They call him Fernandes. What's Jorginho? His last 15 goals are penalties.
Yeah. Since he joins Chelsea, he's scored more goals on penalties.
I think he's only scored one goal was not a penalty.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's Jorginho's role to score a goal, because I wouldn't expect a midfielder like Jorginho to score goals. I wouldn't. But the fact that people say one thing about one player, but happy enough to say something about another player, I think it's wrong. I just don't think Jorginho is actually good enough. He's very sloppy. He makes silly mistakes. And for me, I think he should have been sent off in the Euro final.
I'll go along with that. With that. Yeah.
I really do think so. He should have been sent off. But
you take the penalties away from Jorginho when he signed for Chelsea in 2017-18 season, I think it was, right? He has not scored. I think it's like one goal or something like that he has scored without the penalties. People are going to think like, okay, Jorginho's only brought in just to score penalties. There's games where he can perform. Don't get me wrong, right? And I will praise him if he does well on Friday against England. But I don't rate him anymore, man. I don't rate him. I think he's lost his touch. I don't think he's not the player what he was before. And Reece has made a very good comment. When the last time Jorginho was good was Sarri was the manager. He was. Jorginho likes playing Sarri ball, right?
And if you watch Sarri ball, I'd get put to sleep watching Sarri ball.
Mate, his tactics are boring, mate. No offense, but his tactics is crap.
No joke, right? If I was literally to watch Sarri ball in 5 minutes after, I'll be asleep. That's how crap Sarri ball is. Sarri ball is that crap. I would literally rather watch Sean Dyche ball for the rest of my life.
I love a bit of Sean Dyche. You got Tarkovsky.
Did you do that?
Why not? The audience can hear that.
Oh my god, that's so.
Sean Dyche impression. Why not?
Mike has said about Tonali, Barella in the pivot with Pellegrini ahead of him. We haven't touched on Tonali. Reece will probably be able to confirm about that. Is that? Sorry, I got so Tonali has recently signed an extension, I believe, with AC Milan, and he's not long won the Serie A. So I know there's winning mentality in that side of Italy, but Tonali is such a young player, and I think he's so dominant in the midfield.
Look, I liked Tonali, right, and Reese will back me on this one, right. He watches Serie A football, right, and Tonali, he's a quality player. Like he could be the next. He could be the next Pirlo. Don't get me wrong. The guy is a baller. What he done for AC Milan, right, and how, and this is what AC Milan. This is what I liked about AC Milan last season, right. How they developed players, right. That's a very good comment, mate. But I'll get onto that later. But no, how AC Milan developed, right, with Tonali, he's a good player. He's a good player, right? And what I want to see, you can play a double pivot with Tonali, who was the other one? Tonali, Verratti, and Pellegrini, right?
I think it was Tonali, Barella, and Pellegrini.
Barella, you could play those three in a double pivot and it works. So that is a very, very exciting because think about it. You had Pirlo, Gattuso, right? De Rossi. These three together, you take Jorginho out, right? Those three could be like the next Pirlo. Like Tonali, you've got Pirlo, right? Gattuso, you potentially got someone like Barella or Pellegrini. That is a very exciting team, right? And that is a very exciting midfield to watch out. Because if like Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup because Italy lacked goals. They don't, and for me, they don't have a proper centre forward, and that's what Italy had lacked. So,
yeah, honestly, I completely agree with you. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Pellegrini though. And Cristiante, he can play as a defensive midfielder too, so he's a great backup for Verratti and Tonali too, and Barella. He's a great backup to have on the bench to come on and as a substitute if needed. But let's go on to the attack. Henry's already said I expect Scamacca to do well.
Henry, I think Scamacca has potential to be good, right? I didn't want him at Arsenal, right? Because the performance, what I've seen in the Premier League for West Ham, yeah, I know he came in, he didn't come in at the beginning of the transfer market. He came near towards the end of the transfer window, a few weeks before the window closed. But Scamacca has got potential. That game against England, right? He didn't perform well. And I'm not going to cuss him, right? Because it was his first proper international game, right? But I do think this guy has potential to be good. But of course, he does deserve a call up because he's done well in the Europa League. And coming to West Ham, right? Maybe a top 7, top 8 side. It's quite difficult for him just at first. But I do think he will come good. Like El Shaarawy for me, he's still playing, right? But he gets all these injuries and that.
Can I just say something? What's just gonna frustrate Reese right now? I obviously do. I've done Roma on my FIFA, and I play El Shaarawy as a wing back.
Really?
Yes.
Gee, what's your formation about, man? Wait until FIFA 23 comes out in 8.5 days. You'll be playing Roma career mode or Marseille career mode.
I've already done them career modes, but I play a 3-4-3 diamond on Roma, and I put El Shaarawy as a left wing back. I'm behind Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan's at Inter Milan, so
he's in Roma, obviously, on the current FIFA. But you know,
8 more days, and then you get rid of Mkhitaryan, so it's all good.
Exactly. See, I told you he's not happy. So yeah, let's go to the attack of Italy before I say something I might regret about El Shaarawy being a wing back. Attack. Calissini, Ganotto, Griffo, Immobile, Politano, yeah. Raspadori.
Raspadori.
Thank you. Sakamo, Zerabin. To be honest, the only two I know is Immobile and Sakama. So I'll let you take it away, Luca, with them ones.
I think with it's not the best Italy tack what it was for years. I still think Mario Balotelli should have been called up at the time, but it is a bit too late right now because Mario Balotelli would have been an ideal to call up. But where is Balotelli now?
That's a good question. I'll have a look for
Turkish
you.
league or something like that. I don't know, but Mario Balotelli would have been a striker where I do think Italy could have called up, and I think Balotelli's like 31, 32, something like that.
32. He's at Sion, which is a Swiss team.
Switzerland team, isn't it? So
Yes, Swiss,
32. Maybe it is a bit time for him to. But saying that, Chiellini and Bonucci are in their 30s. I know they're not forwards. That Chiellini was a defender. Niall makes another good point, right? I know
I like Zaniolo. He's brilliant. A centre forward. He can slot it as an attacking midfielder, and he can play in the wing for me.
He's even good on FIFA. So
we're not talking FIFA here, but as we do touch on FIFA, with my dad's question, I beat Reese all the time. He just gets a bit annoyed when I beat him too much. But yeah,
getting back to the centre forward,
Zaniolo.
He's quality.
I like Zaniolo.
Like teams like Roma and Napoli are starting to perform very good players now, and it is good for the future for Italy. Don't get me wrong. He might go to Juventus next year. Who knows? Or AC Milan. But I think when you look at Italy's squad, yes, you've got Raspadori. He played in one of the friendlies. I think it was Turkey, the game after when Italy failed to qualify. And Italy won, I think it was 3-1, 3-2. But he scored 2 in that game in his debut. And there was something to be looking forward to be excited about. Yeah, it was only one game, but he looks very promising. Immobile is good enough for Lazio, but for the national team, he doesn't score a lot of goals. I think with Italy, right, what really pisses me off about that is that Insigne and Benedeschi are not in it. Benedeschi and Berardi. Berardi's a good player. He's a good player. And Insigne should be in that team because Insigne was a great player. Yeah, he's getting on a bit. He's in his 30s. But Insigne and Benedeschi are playing in a piss league and they're killing goals in it. So they're playing in the MLS, but they're still banging goals. Even if you don't call Mario Balotelli up, you still can put Insigne in there. You can still put Benedeschi in there as well. But Chiesa was a massive blow for Italy. He stole that European Championship. The way he saved us in that game against the likes of Austria, scored against Spain, right? Even if you don't call Mario Balotelli up, Italy are a few players away from calling a few players up to become a good team again. Like Reece says, Benedeschi and Insigne went to Toronto, they're not getting back at all. No, I still think them two should be in the squad. I still think they're getting on a bit, but I still think they've got experience. That's what Italy are lacking. Italy needs someone like Insigne, Benedeschi, right? This attack is not good enough to get you into the World Cup. It genuinely is not. And I do think Roberto Mancini does need to call up maybe someone like Insigne. He needs to call them lot. But players don't get call-ups from the MLS. That's why they're playing in a piss league.
For you, who is the most likely attackers to play?
For me, I think he's going to play Immobile and this game, depending if Italy going to take it seriously, right? I haven't seen the Nations League table, so I don't even look at it really. So I think he'll play Immobile in this game and possibly maybe Scamacca or Raspadori, one of those two. I think what he'll do is he'll play Raspadori and Scamacca together in this game because Scamacca needs a few more minutes. I think Immobile will be a player where he'll be on the bench to come off the bench because he's got that experience. He's played in the 2014 World Cup. So he's played for the national team for 8 years. So I don't know. I don't know who Zerbin is. I don't know who Griffo is, and I don't know who the first one is. So they're the only three I don't know out the whole strikers. The rest, of course, I know. Pochettino, I think he plays for Napoli. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not sure. So, but yeah. So I just think Raspadori and Schumacher would be probably the ideal to start against England.
Okay. Liam said Juventus are shocking. 100% they are.
Apparently Conte's linked to the job, but for me, if Conte goes to Juventus, mate, Tottenham fans will be having a meltdown.
That's true. Ravi did ask a question. How many Napoli players are for Italy? I believe there's about 5, 6, I think. Niall still 0-0. Scotland versus Ukraine. This is the first and only time I'm going to say it. Come on, Scotland.
I'm not even watching it. I didn't even know it was on ITV4. I thought it was
no, it's on Premier Sports. I think
on ITV4 as well.
Oh, is it? Okay. I've been watching it on Premier Sports. Henry said, having so many tournaments this season, plus domestic cup leagues and cups will take a toll on the older players. I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of injuries this season. I really do think so. It's going to be absolutely crazy. My dad asked, who's your team in Italy?
If I had to choose, I don't really have one, but if I had to choose, probably Juventus because of Buffon.
I'm going to Milan in a few weeks. I'm getting an AC Milan shirt.
Oh, Maisy, you can't do that now. First you support Sporting Lisbon and now AC Milan.
I don't support AC Milan. Every time I go on holiday, I want to buy a football shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you going to go back for AC Milan?
Tomori, most likely.
Tomori has to be the one.
I was either debating out Tomori, Giroud, or Zlatan.
I'll go with Tomori. Forget Giroud. Forget Lampos, Olivier Giroud. So I'll go.
But the thing is, I already have Zlatan on my Man United shirt, so that's the only problem.
Yeah, Zlatan's good out, 41 years old.
Mike said that Mancini plays with 4-3-3.
So he could play Raspadori or Immobile, and then he could play Gnotto on one side, and he could play Pochettino as well. So he could play, and this is the thing with Italy, right? Like people can question and say, like I touched on 5-10 minutes ago, that Insigne and Benedeschi, and I'll repeat it again, is that I just think with a 4-3-3, I think those two. Yes, I know we would love these players to play again, and they don't get called out, and these players still play. Like Mario Balotelli, I would love to see him back in an Italy shirt for one, even if it was for one game. But I just think with Italy, right, I do think maybe someone like Insigne and Benedeschi fit that 4-3-3. Look, Chiesa, when he comes back, Italy have been lacking goals, right? But with Chiesa, when he comes back, it's going to be depending whether he's going to be the same player. Chiesa was a top player. And I don't know when he's going to be coming back. This injury, he's been out since, God knows when. I think since right after the Euros. So I think benefit 4-3-3 is Roberto Mancini's best system for us. I think he has a better system where he benefits because you've got the free midfield, and then you've got the three attackers. You've got two wingers and you've got the centre forwards.
Yeah. Mike told me to get Zlatan. Reese has told me to get Rafaelio. I think he's good, but I just don't know too much about him. I know he's a great player.
I don't know much about him, but what nationality is he? Portuguese?
Yeah, he's Portuguese, yeah. Thoughts on the Italian goalkeeper? I don't know two of them, but I know Donnarumma and Meret, and they're great.
I only know the first two. The other two I never heard of. So.
Mike has asked why has they taken 4 goalkeepers?
I think because I'm not 100% sure because obviously I don't work for the club. I'm just an amateur. So I think with the 4 goalkeepers, right, I think it's benefit if they take them because in case one of them gets injured and then you've got a couple of backups. That's why there's been 4 goalkeepers.
Luca Mancini, let's just call you. Henry, Origi, Milan shirt. Nah, that's not happening. It ain't happening. I'm sorry.
You don't have a Manchester United fan getting an AC Milan downstairs player. It doesn't work out like that.
Before we do wrap up, there is a quote what I've just found whilst we was talking today, and that is from your friend Chilina, and he did say something about Maguire. What I thought we could quickly touch on. Chilina, I am sad for Maguire's situation because he is a good player. A good player. They require too much of him just because they paid 80 million for him. He has to be the best in the world every match. It's not right. The value of the market is dependent on how many aspects you can't control. It's not your fault. What do you think about that? Because that's very interesting for Chiellini to come out and say that.
Look, I can understand. Look, us fans as a perspective, perspective, we all don't rate Harry Maguire. But what Chiellini come out and said is, look, I respect what he says. Right, I love Chiellini, right? But he's making an honest. He's obviously being very honest to Harry Maguire, backing him up, saying, right, okay, because obviously he's not going to come out and say he's crap because professional football players are not allowed to say it. So I think Chiellini makes a very, very good choice on that. I think he's backing up Harry Maguire. But I understand where he is coming from. Yeah, I know Harry Maguire is not worth 80 million. He's worth about 40 million. But I just look at it and look, he is being honest. But what he's saying here, he has to be the best in the world in every match. I disagree. Okay, because Harry Maguire can't be the best in the world. I can understand Chiellini's giving him confidence.
I think this is the problem is in terms of football. I'm not saying it is Maguire's fault. He's worth £80 million. It isn't. We got Rob Blind from Leicester. We did, but I look at him and think he was worth 80 million to them because of how important he was as a player. You look at, for instance, Pepe. He's not worth the amount. Was it 72 million you paid for him?
72 million for Pepe.
Yeah, he isn't worth 72 million, Pepe. And the reason why he was is because he was that highly rated by his former team. I think it's about how highly they rated, the importance. Are they going to get the right replacement? I think all them taken into consideration, plus if they get into debt. There's the Premier League where people look and raise the price that tiny bit as well. But for me, it's not about the price tag why people think he should be great every single game. It's just not good enough as a player. He doesn't suit Manchester United.
No, I just don't think he doesn't suit Manchester United because Harry Maguire isn't the ideal player. Look, was Manchester United fans happy when you first brought him in? Well, of course he were, because in my opinion, as an Arsenal fan talking to you right now, I think Harry Maguire was potential. It's just, if you take the English tax, Manchester United wouldn't have paid 80 million. They probably would have paid about 50 million. So now you're seeing what Harry Maguire is. He's not been good enough for Manchester United. When he first came in, I think he was all right. But when it slowly started getting into the situation, I think Harry Maguire is not good enough for Manchester United, and that's the problem for me.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree with you. Good evening, Rich. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming into the chat. Niall said it's 1-0 for Scotland now. Well done, Scotland. Henry said, if Italy target Maguire, they'll get slaughtered. With the way Southgate play, you'll probably put on a masterpiece, and then he will disrespect the fan base with his the ways.
You get the Manchester United fan base thinking, "Oh my God, Harry Maguire is so sick." Well,
Super Nick said, "Great every game equals undroppable." I hope you're well, Super Nick. Thank you for coming in. Liam said Maguire should go back to Leicester. You know what's really funny? Leicester fans said they'd happily take Maguire back because of the situation they're in. They will happily take Maguire back. But we'll wrap it up. Would you like to say your score prediction and your lineup prediction for Italy?
Yeah, 100%. I think lineup it will be Donnarumma in goal. Can I get the squad back up? Can I get the squad?
Yes, of course you can. You can have that squad back up. Out the kindness of my own heart. There you go.
Mike's just said, imagine if San Marino 0-0. Mate, if they win their first game, they've not won here's the stat. San Marino have not won a game since 2004.
Seriously?
Serious.
Wow.
It's a stat, people, right? In case people don't. Go and have a look at Wikipedia. San Marino won 1-0 against Liechtenstein in 2004. But anyway, back to the Italy. For me, I'll go with Donnarumma in goal. Defense, De Lorenzo, Bonucci, Bastoni. Probably, we're going to have to go with Emerson, who I don't really rate. In the midfield, I'll go with Barella, Pellegrini, and Tonali. You'd probably go with Verratti. In the attack, I'll go with Raspadoni, Pochettino, and probably Immobile. So I'd probably go with that, or maybe Gnotto, Raspadori, and Politano. I do think, and score prediction. I said this to myself in my channel when I last made a video. I think it was Sunday. Sunday, the last time I put a stream out, and I said this in my international predictions. And I don't know where this game can go either way, right? England played Italy, right, in the Nations League, and Italy had a crap side out, similar side to this, right? And England still couldn't beat Italy, right? And every time, like, you go on live,
Thanks for rubbing it in, Luca.
you go on live score on the app, right, and you have a look at the head-to-head. The last time England beat Italy, right, was 10 years ago, right? So for me, I thought it was 2015 when England won 2-1, but it wasn't. But it was 2012, correct? I think that's what it said on live score, and I'm going along with the app. England last time beat Italy 10 years ago, right? So Italy score prediction, I think it'll be a draw. I'm going 1-1.
Interesting. That is an interesting one. So I'm gonna do my lineup prediction as well. But before we do that, we'll quickly go to people's score predictions. Ravi's gone for a 2-1 Italy. My dad's gone for a 2-2 draw. Niall's gone for a 2-1 Italy. Reese has gone for a 1-0 Italy. Pellegrini to score. Don't do this to me, Pellegrini. San Marino's biggest win is 1-0. That is absolutely mad. Reese's lineup prediction: Donnarumma, Di Lorenzo, Bonucci, Bastoni, Emerson, Tonali, Barella, Pellegrini, Politano, Sakamo, Rasparano. Changed it for Verratti because I don't think he's been great recently either. Good evening, I Like Coffee. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming into the chat. It's good to see you as always. 1-0 Italy. Why is everyone predicting Italy? Why? This is hurtful. I feel really hurt right now. But I was in the middle of doing my lineup prediction anyway, and I was doing the correct formation to show people. So I'll show what I've done so far here. So I've had Pope. I've gone for 3-4-3 formation. I've gone for Pope in goal, Walker, Maguire, Tomora in the defence, Rice and Bellingham to play in the pivot together. I've gone on the left-hand side to
You're
put
Harry Maguire.
Yeah, I think he'll be playing.
Wow. Okay.
I think Trippier will be on the left. I think on the right will be Reece James. I think on the left-hand side will be Raheem Sterling. I think on the right will be Bukayo Saka. And then up front will be Harry Kane.
It
literally looks like a small circle at the top half, and then at the bottom half it looks like a very horrible triangle. That's what I personally think the lineup is going to be, but there would be a few things I'd change. I'd 100% remove Harry Maguire out of there. I would take out Harry Kane and I'd try Ivan Toney. It's not hard to be missed if you want me to be honest, but yeah, that's what I predicted for my scoreline anyway. My prediction, I've gone for a 2-2 draw, which people already know. So let's have a see here. I Like Coffee's happy about me putting Trippier and Pope in. Of course, you will be. Being a Newcastle fan, of course. Why is Trippier left midfield? It's supposed to be a 3-4-3. It's supposed to be a left wing back, but it's just playing up. So just pretend it's a left wing back. I Like Coffee. That lineup is negative. Southgate is negative. It's just going to be one of them. Reese has gone Pope, Walker, Tamari Stones, James Bellingham, Rice, Chilwell, Foden, Kane, Sterling. That's what he thinks should be gone for. And it's 2-0 for Scotland. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Luca, for coming on. I know it's a bit longer than you probably expected.
No, it's not a problem, man. I'm not in a rush.
Would you like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, everybody, my socials, yes. Go and subscribe to my channel, Luca AFC. We are doing a watch along for England versus Italy on Friday, 7:25. Go and have a look at my notifications as every time when I put a video out. And follow me on Twitter, Martinelli AFC1, and follow me on Instagram. Maisy, thank you very much. And thank you very much to the comments and the audience for having me on my channel for tonight. It's been good.
Thank you for coming on, Luca. And I've put your link in the description below. So if you haven't already, go and give Luca a subscribe.
It can be done.
Yeah, it definitely can be done. And there was a lot there what I've learned in terms of Italy. I'll be next live myself throughout the week. I've got some stuff planned, so go and check out the channel. I am doing a watch along, but it isn't going to be for England. I'm not going to bore myself doing one. I must be honest, I can't, because I might just tear my hair out. But I'm doing a Manchester United women's watch along as they take on West Ham. But thank you everyone who's gave the channel a watch. Hit that like and subscribe button. I Like Coffee said awesome football content for your channel, Luca. And is absolutely spot on. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, and it's bye-bye.
For now.